If you are planning on growing any of these in your garden or allotment, you're probably going to have to tackle at least some of these. Now, if you're like me and you're trying to go more organic and use fewer pesticides and chemicals, you're going to have to get creative with how you solve these issues. And that is where companion planting comes in. So today I've got 5 of my favourite superhero seeds that you can sow now to protect your plants from all those pests and to help them grow healthy and strong. Hi folks, and welcome back to the Wild Patch. If you are new around here, my name is Leanne and this is my YouTube channel, and we are all about gardening with maximum creativity and none of the faff. So, companion planting. Every year around about this time and all throughout the spring and the summer months, I see loads of graphs and charts and pictures circulating on Pinterest and Facebook about the best plants to grow with other plants to make sure that it's deterring pests and to help them grow up. And that's great. However, some of them do give mixed messages and most of them don't explain why those plants are good to grow with each other. So I thought I'd do a little video today about 5 of my favourite companion planting combinations. I call these my superhero seeds, and I will tell you all about them in this video coming up. The best thing is that these seeds can all be sown right now. I'm going to be sowing them in the poly bundle. If you do have an outdoor space, brilliant. If not, if you've got a windowsill, you can start them off now as well. They'll be perfectly fine indoors and ready to harden off and move outdoors once they have matured. So let's get started. So plant number 1 then, and this is one of my absolute must-haves, a complete superstar in the garden, and that is Nasturtium. Now, these are just incredible plants. I use these for a whole host of things, really. They are magnets for pests. So your aphids, your green fly and your black fly will flock to these, but what's more, they are also great for cabbage white caterpillars. So if you've seen those white butterflies that are ever so pretty fluttering around your allotment or garden, they are out to attack your cabbages, your broccoli, your cauliflowers. They will lay their eggs on the underside of the leaves and the caterpillars will absolutely decimate them. But grow some nasturtium nearby and they might just go for those instead. Now, the added bonus for nasturtium is that the whole plant is edible. And if you've never tried them before, they've got a sort of peppery flavour. The leaves and the petals are fabulous, just shredded up and popped in a salad. But you can also wait until they go to seed and collect those to eat too. So if I show you some seeds just here, there we go. You can pop these in a jar, pickle them in brine, and they will add a lovely salty peppery bite to your food, just like a caper would, but a lot cheaper than those jars in the supermarket. So the variety I'm sowing today is called Bloody Mary. Just look at the colours on those. These are from She Grows Veg. I chose these because of the colours, but also because I just love a Bloody Mary. So let's pop those in. Now, the other thing to note with nasturtium, and this can be a bit of a danger, is although they are fantastic pest magnets and they are edible and they are beautiful, they also have plans for world domination. And if left unchecked, they will take over your entire garden. Now, I don't mind that so much, to be honest, because I just really love nasturtiums. But if you are going for a neat and tidy sort of vibe, you will want to keep your nasturtiums in check, or they will absolutely take over. So plant number 2 then, and I actually came across the amazing powers of these by complete accident. So I'm about to sow some cornflowers, and I've got 2 different types here. I've got Cornflower Blue Boy, which is just your regular blue wild looking cornflower. And then I also have polka dot, which I think is a mix of all different colours. So there'll be some blues, some purples, some pinks, and perhaps even some burgundy ones in there. Now, if you look up cornflowers online, it will tell you that they are fantastic for attracting beneficial pollinators, and they are. So these are great to put next to your fruiting plants. So your tomatoes, your peppers, your chilies, your berries, anything that needs sort of your bees or other pollinators to come along, take that pollen from the flower to create that fruit. But I accidentally also found out that they have an additional superpower, and that is aphids love them. So a few years ago, I planted some beans. So I had Bolotti beans and Greek Giganteus beans. I think I've spoken about this before. And it was my best year for beans. So I mulched all around the bottom with my rabbit bedding. But also around the edges of that bed, I sowed cornflowers. And I didn't really think anything of it. I just thought it'd be pretty. And what I noticed was within a few weeks, those cornflowers, the stems started turning black. And I thought, what on earth? But on closer look, they were just coated in aphids. I don't know what it is about them, but aphids absolutely love them. And they did not touch my beans. That was the best bean crop I have ever had. And I'm going to be doing that again this year to replicate that same success. So, cornflowers. Now, cornflowers have teeny tiny little seeds, and they look really cool. So let me just show you what a cornflower seed looks like little tiny paintbrushes. Let's just get the camera to focus there. You see? Cornflowers are also excellent at self-seeding. So this is a sort of case of sow once and they will come back year after year. So pretty good for lazy gardeners, or productive and efficient gardeners, let's put it that way. So what I've done here is just pop a little cane where the nasturtiums were, and then I'm just going to sprinkle the cornflowers in. They're tiny seeds, so trying to place them exactly is going to be quite time consuming. These are quite old seeds, so packed July 2021, sowed by July 23. So I'm going to sow them a little bit more thickly. Also knowing that I've got the polka dot to go into. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter separating these out, as long as I know they're cornflowers. That will be absolutely fine. Gosh, there's loads in there. I'm just going to take a little pinch of seeds there and just sprinkle them. Fab. So like I said, these are quite thick and they're quite close together, but I will end up pricking them out and thinning them out in a few weeks' time anyway, so I'm not too worried. Let's see if we can spread a few out. And that is the cornflowers in. I mean, all of these as well are fine to direct sow. I just would do those probably around the middle to the end of April, especially with the nasturtiums, because they're quite tender. So the last set of seeds for this tray, and in fact a new flower for me this year, that is Tagetes. Now these are Mexican marigolds, and they are very similar to your regular marigolds, so if you've grown those you should know what to expect. They work by deterring pests from things like carrots and tomatoes because they are quite pungent, let's put it that way, and so they let off an aroma that confuses the insects and puts them off of your precious crops. So these are particularly good for things like carrot root fly that can smell carrots from miles and miles away. So if you plant your Tagetes around them, it just confuses them. They won't be able to track the scent to your carrots and nibble holes in them. The reason I wanted to try these instead of your regular marigolds is because I heard as well that they might have an additional superpower, and that is to deter other weeds. So things like bindweed, which if you've been on my channel for any amount of time, you'll know that my plot has a massive bindweed problem. So I'm not sure how it's going to go, but I thought it's probably worth a try. Now, Tagetes are pretty easy to grow. They're a sort of sow and let them do their thing. I'm still going to pop them in trays and plant them on just so I know how many I've got. And the other caveat is that they do need full sun. So Mexican marigold, think about what the weather's like in Mexico. That's what they need in order to fully thrive. So pop them in your full sun areas, which actually works quite well for things like tomatoes because they should be in full sun too. Oh, okay. I wasn't expecting, I'm not sure what I was expecting actually. I thought these might look a bit more like calendula seeds, but that is your Tagetes seed. Again, very small and light seeds. So actually I'm quite glad that I'm going to be popping them in soil first because they look like they might blow away quite easily if you were to sow them direct. And although that shouldn't stop them from sprouting, it means I will know exactly where I've planted them instead of sowing them and leaving them to nature. So next up, and this is not an edible flower, and again a new one on me, and that is Cosmos. And these are a gardener's must-have, and I don't know why I've been sleeping on them. I've never grown them before, but I know how super popular they are with so many growers up and down the UK and overseas. So this is the year. I've got the variety Apricot Lemonade. Would you just look at the colours on that? Absolutely stunning. These were recommended to me by Ellie, so thank you, Ellie, and if they don't work, it's your fault. So I'm going to be sowing these slightly differently. I'm sowing these into small plugs. I think I am going to put them indoors for the first few weeks, just because they're a little bit more tender than the other ones. The other ones will be fine out in the polybunnel. So given the temperature out here can still get into the minuses some nights, I just want to sort of take a safer approach with these. So these will be going into plugs and on my windowsill for me to look after until they're ready to plant out. So Cosmos then, why Cosmos? Well, it says on the packet they are RHS plants for pollinators, so they will bring in all those beneficial pollinators, not just the bees and the butterflies, but your hoverflies and your ladybirds and all the other lovely things that will come in and help your garden grow, essentially. The other great thing about Cosmos is, well, firstly, they're really, really pretty and fantastic for cut flowers. They have got those long, slender stems, which are great for cutting and placing in vases. But also they are one of those plants that the more you cut, the more they come back. So as long as you keep on top of cutting them down or deadheading them once they're over, they will carry on blooming, and they will bloom for a really long time. So the packet here says that they will be flowering from June up until October, so pretty much the entirety of the summer until the frosts come, and really that's an awful lot of bang for your buck, isn't it? So I'm going to be placing 2 in each plug, and then I will just take out the strongest ones out of each. I'm not sure on the self-seed success of these. I'm sure they probably do, so worth a try and see what comes back next year, I suppose. So the last lot of seeds on my list isn't actually one single plant, it's a whole squad of garden heroes, and that is herbs. So today I'm sowing coriander, which I know can be quite a divisive one, so if you're one of those freaks that doesn't like coriander, don't worry, there are plenty more to choose from. So herbs are fantastic. They work very much the same as Tagetes in that they have a really strong aroma which can confuse those pests. Also, if you leave them to flower, they will also attract all the beneficial pollinators as well. So you've got a bit of a double whammy, well, triple whammy really, because they're also delicious and there are so many different ones that you can try. So I'm doing coriander today. I will also in the coming weeks be doing parsley and thyme. I've got sage already at the allotment, and I've got a rosemary bush that I'm going to be taking cuttings from. Coriander is great in the cooler weather, but once it gets to the height of summer, it'll be no good and it will just go straight to flower, and I will leave it for the pollinators. But at that point, I will then be replacing with the warmer Mediterranean herbs like basil. And again, I love basil. I think when I was doing my seed tour, I showed you I've got maybe 4 or 5 different types of basil. So I've got plenty to be getting on with once the weather warms up a little bit more. So coriander again, or cilantro if you're in the US. And Canada? Ali, tell me, what do you call it in Canada? Is it coriander or cilantro? Again, the whole plant is edible. So we most commonly eat the leaves in our guacamoles and on top of our curries. But of course, the seeds, so I've got really dirty hands. The seeds are sort of a well-used spice in Indian food, I think, usually, and probably in Mexican food. I think I've used ground coriander. And as well the root, I believe. I've never eaten coriander root, but I am led to believe that is also edible. So another really great all-rounder. And I wonder actually if all of those things taste like soap to the people out there that don't like coriander. Tell me in the comments, are you a coriander lover or a hater? And what does it taste like when you try it? I personally absolutely love it. I am a huge fan of guacamole. And I just think it adds like a fresh zing to your dish. I just love it. So I'm not going to plant too many of these. I've got 3, 6, 9, 12 seeds planted. So we'll leave it at that for now. I'll probably do another sowing of these in about August, September, ready for the winter. Like I said, they'll do better in the cooler months. So they'll have a little break over the heat of the summer, but then come autumn, they'll be back. And I think they're quite hardy, so a really great one to have in your garden, even if you don't like the taste of the leaves. So that's it. That is 5 superhero seeds you can be growing now to protect your crops and to help them grow big and strong come the summer. Thank you again so much for joining me. I would love to know what you think about the 5 plants that I have listed as my superheroes. Have I missed any? If you've got any must-have companion plants or combinations, let me know in the comments below. Let's all learn from each other, and maybe there'll be some others that I feature in a future video to try out. So thank you for joining me. I will see you in the next one. Bye.